Hey folks, welcome back to Airsoft with the mighty Jingles. Today's video is more aimed at the beginner to Airsoft. It's the sort of stuff that you are going to need to have when you first start playing Airsoft seriously. After you've been to a couple of playing sites and you've used some of the stuff that they hire out for people to use, for newcomers to the site, and you're thinking about getting your own stuff, what sort of things are you going to need to be able to start playing Airsoft, as a semi-regular player? So let's take a look at the sort of equipment you're going to need. Most of the stuff that you see me and most other airsofters in most airsoft videos wearing is completely unnecessary. The only things you absolutely definitely need are a weapon and eye protection. I would also recommend a pair of good boots, because the number one injury sustained in airsoft is broken and twisted ankles from people running around uneven ground woodlands in training shoes and getting their foot stuck in a rabbit hole and snapping their ankle like a dry twig. I would highly recommend you get yourself a pair of high leg ankle reinforced combat boots. Just a cheap pair of combat boots will do. It'll save you a broken ankle. Now obviously you're going to need a weapon. We'll take a look at an example like the M16A2 here in a moment, but prior to that you're also going to need eye protection. Now eye protection comes in all different kinds of shapes and sizes. You can spend £400 on a pair of prescription Oakley sunglasses if you wish, or you can spend £5 on a cheap pair of lab glasses like this. And that is perfectly adequate. That'll keep your eyes protected. British safety standard on the side, or whatever your local health and safety regulations are, whichever country you play. That is perfectly adequate to keep your eyes protected. You'll be allowed to play on any playing site, certainly in the United Kingdom, wearing just those as eye protection. There's various different kinds of eye protection that you can get. Obviously right at the bottom end of the market, £5 for a pair of one of those, cheap as chips. Moving up slightly, we have the Gauls face mask. Obviously this is also going to keep your face safe. A particular use for spectacle wearers, because if you're wearing a second set of lenses over your spectacles, like one of those, what's going to happen as soon as you start sweating, one of those sets of lenses is going to start fogging up. If you're wearing a gauze face mask, that won't happen, because this will allow the air to circulate. The problem with gauze face masks is that in low light conditions they let less light through, so it tends to restrict your vision a little. What you can do with these things, if I can figure out how, is if you don't want the actual face protection because you find that it's too hot and sweaty with your breath off the inside of the mask, these do actually pop off. There you go. And instead of using the full face mask, you can just use the goggles. So that will set you back around about £15. Again, cheap as chips. If you like the Oakley look, but you also like the idea of the gauze rather than the lenses, a set of these, which I think are made by Viper, they look the part and they will only set you back around about £10 to £15 as well. Obviously you're not going to be able to wear a pair of spectacles under those, however. Moving on, for a long time when I was using contact lenses, I used to use these, manufactured by a firm called Garda, and these are very, very good. This model is by Viper. This will set you back anything between £20 and £25. The nose pieces and all of the lenses are completely interchangeable, and they come with high contrast, all sorts of different colours. If you want to look like a complete idiot, you can have pink with silver trim. It's all there. All of these things are available for sale at the Combat South shop, by the way, and most airsoft retailers. And then of course at the top end of the market you've got mine. But because I have to have prescription lenses, or I can't actually see my own hand in front of my face, these cost me just short of £400 sterling. They're genuine Oakleys with polycarbonate reinforced prescription lenses. I wouldn't recommend as a first purchase you go out and immediately get your hands on a set of these, but I know what I like and I can afford them, so that's what I ended up getting. but you definitely don't have to go to that kind of expense. £5 for a pair of lab glasses is pretty much all you really need to do in order to get started. So that's your eye protection. While we're on the subject of facial protection, however, one of these can be very, very handy, because you can basically wear it around your neck and then only pop it up over your face at the last moment when you're ready to go in for some close quarters combat. Like, for example, you're playing at Combat South in the Aishao village, and as you actually come to start clearing the hooches out, pop this over your face for when you go inside. You don't want to get shot in the face at point blank range. So one of those is quite handy. I have seen people get their teeth shot out, and they always seem to wear these afterwards after they've paid a very expensive dentist bill. So again, not required to wear anything like this. All you're required to wear is the eye protection, but these are recommended. Okay, you've got your eye protection sorted. The next thing you're going to need is a weapon. Tokyo Marui M16A2. It's about as basic as they come. There are all sorts of variations on the M16 and M4 family, and they are probably the most popular range of airsoft weapons available on the market. Purely and simply, not so much for the M16A2, but certainly for the M4, that there are just so many aftermarket accessories that you can slap onto them. Grenade launchers, silencers, rails, scopes, flashlights, lasers, you name it. If you want to pimp your gun out, pretty much everybody buys an M4. One of these, a basic no frills AEG, will set you back in the region of £250. Now it sounds like a lot, and it's certainly not pocket change, but a set of golf clubs will set you back £1,000, so it's not that much of an initial outlay in order to get into a new sport. Also, don't forget that most of your cost is up front with these things, because once you've purchased your weapon, your battery charger, your batteries and a couple of magazines, your running costs are practically nil. It doesn't cost you anything to charge the batteries, and the ammunition, 3,000 rounds of ammunition, £10. Ridiculously cheap compared to a game like paintball, for example. So the initial outlay is relatively expensive, but once that's all out of the way, it's a very, very cheap sport to continue playing. Okay, so we've got the basic equipment sorted. You've got your eye protection, very, very important. You've got a decent set of boots with good ankle support, so you don't break your ankle the first time you're running around in the woods and you trip. And you've got yourself a weapon, and that's fine, that's great. You know, your first few games you play, that's going to be absolutely fantastic, but sooner or later you're going to run out of ammunition in the middle of a game, and then you're going to want to buy additional magazines for whatever your weapon is. As soon as you buy additional magazines, you're going to need something to carry those magazines in, and that's where this sort of thing comes into play. You certainly don't have to spend the same amount of money on your gear that I have spent, but that's kind of part of the attraction of playing airsoft in the first place. It's being able to dress up like soldiers. I mean, let's face it, it's just big boys' toys. And part of the attraction is running around shooting your friends without the penalties that are associated with shooting them with real weapons, and dressing up like real soldiers. So what I'm wearing here is a chest rig. It's made by a company called Bulle. This actually cost me £150, and that's just for the chest rig. The pouches are extra. These are 511 tactical AK-74 magazine pouches. They're double magazine pouches. I can actually carry 6 AK-74 magazines here. On the side I've got a dump pouch for empty magazines. Over here I've got a couple of pistol magazines for my 1911. Part of the attraction is that, I mean, this is all real military gear. Obviously I'm not a real soldier, but I do get to look like one, you know, except for the big belly hiding away underneath this chest rig. But there are all sorts of gear that you can get to complete your look. Another popular manufacturer is Blackhawk. This is a Blackhawk assault vest, and does pretty much exactly the same job as the chest rig, except it's a vest. Blackhawk have been making gear for the Special Forces community for decades, and their gear is absolutely top-notch. It comes with the equivalent price tag, of course, but this stuff is guaranteed for life. If your Blackhawk gear fails, send it back. They will send you a new one. I've had this for about 15 years, and it is still as good as new. It comes with a couple of accessories that you won't get on something like a chest rig. Blackhawk like putting these textured panels on the shoulders of their vests, and that's basically just there, completed with this hardened ridge here, just for you to nestle the buttstock of your rifle in order to ensure that it doesn't slip out your shoulder when you're firing. On the back there's a drag handle, so if you get hit your buddy can grab it and drag you to safety. It is absolutely tough as nails. These things last forever. You don't need to go to that kind of expense though. One of those will set you back anything from 80 to 100 pounds. Alternatively, you can just get yourself a nice cheap cotton Chinese AK-47 chest rig, as used by the Viet Cong in the Vietnam War, and that will cost you £15. And it does the job. You know, if it worked for the Viet Cong, it'll work for you. A lot of people manage absolutely fine just with a webbing belt with a couple of ammunition pouches and a water pouch on it. Whatever your budget is, there is gear out there to meet your needs. You certainly don't have to walk around looking like a weekend warrior like I do. You know, you look good, but as they say, all the gear, no idea. It's not about what you're wearing, it's about how you're using it in the field. So, you've got your eye protection, you've got your boots, you've got your weapon, you've got your gear, you're ready to play. See you on the playing field.